Well, former CIA Acting Director Mike Morell's testimony in Benghazi has sparked outrage. Our first guest tonight has been one of the leaders investigating the terrorist attacks, who questioned Morell at yesterday's hearing about ignoring the CIA station chief on the ground in Libya.
Who would you go to get the most accurate information if you wanted to find out about an incident that happened in country?
I would, if I'm looking for the CIA's judgment about what happened in a particular case, I would go to my analysts.
Joining us now, Congressman Len Westmoreland, member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, who also serves as the deputy chairman at the National Republican Congressional Committee. Good to have you with us. That was an astounding answer from a man who, for a time, was the acting director of the Central Intelligence Agency, that he would turn first to his analyst for conclusive understanding of events in a country where his station chief has given him a very precise picture. Your thoughts?
Well, you're exactly right. And I mean, that was just one of the more confusing answers that we got. We had several confusing answers, and you know, I don't think it gives the American people a lot of security feeling when you've got somebody, like you said, director of the CIA, that relies on an analyst in Washington. And keep in mind, Mr. Morell was in Amman, Jordan when this happened. And yet, you know, with the station chief, the person that had taken over for Ambassador Stevens, the RSO, the regional security officer that was actually at the compound, when they all said that there was no demonstration, you go and rely on an analyst that was not there.
Congress, I have to say that there may have been some assurance, unintended though it may have been on the part of Mr. Morell. There had to be some reassurance that he was no longer there in a active capacity there at the CIA. He said something else that was absolutely flummoxing, and that is that he didn't know for whom he was tinkering with those talking reports. He didn't know the purpose of the talking points. He didn't know the audience for those talking points. He had no idea Susan Rice would be using those talking points. Do you believe a word of what the man said?
Well, I don't want to call him a liar on the air, but that's just not the truth. The analyst that did the analysis on the attack was actually with then Director Petraeus when he came and spoke to us on the 13th of September. And she is the one that, from what he testified to, that did the analysis. And so these things were done relatively quick, but you would think that the director of the CIA or the acting director or a deputy director, if you had an incident in country somewhere, that you would call the person on the ground to see what had happened almost immediately. But yet he claims that he did not know the on-ground testimony until the 15th of September. And that's just not believable.
You know, does it not shock you that Mr. Morell would actually believe that that idiotic amateur video, that he could ascribe anything to it as the cause of the consulate being overrun? I mean, it's such variance with reality, with his common sense, his own sophisticated knowledge. Sure. Recall this. This is the man who was among the very first to say to George W. Bush on September 11th that he believed it was Al-Qaeda who was responsible for September 11th and the attacks on the Pentagon and the Twin Towers.
Right. And let me say, nothing this administration does shocks me anymore. It used to shock me, but it doesn't now. But you're exactly right. He was with President Bush in Florida, and he immediately told the president that it was Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. And I asked him directly, I said, you know, with all the 4,000 pages of intelligence that y'all had compiled between February of 12 and September, the date that the attack could, on the 11th, You didn't have any idea that Al-Qaeda would be involved? I mean, 4,000 pages issued by your department, and plus, supposedly, you know, just sending out a bulletin 4 days before the attack. That's just amazing to me.
Yeah, and despite the fact that the British ambassador had been attacked, and the International Red Cross.
Luke, we were the only flag left flying in Benghazi. Everybody else has shut down shop and left.
There apparently was one other flag that flew from time to time. And
well, there was. It was a black flag.
Of Al-Qaeda.
Yes, sir.
Congressman, we thank you very much for being with us. We appreciate
thank you for having me. Thank you,
Congressman Westmoreland. Time now for a look at our poll last night and what you thought of all of the day's, testimony. We asked whether you believe that former acting CIA Director Mike Morrell was an honest man. Here's your vote. 94% of you said no. Please vote in tonight's poll. Should military members be permitted to carry firearms while on U.S. bases? Please go to LouDobbs.com and cast your vote. We'd like to hear how you feel about that. And we'll have your quotation of the day coming up later in the broadcast.